Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As I'm about to title today's video, here to talk about the ensuing shooting guard problem that is facing us in 2K24. So, for the last 3 years, from 21 to 22 to 23, there has been a secondary ball handler role at the shooting guard spot every single year, and it's because the demigod builder style that we've had ever since 2K21 Next Gen has really encouraged that, to be honest with you. Now, let's go back to 2K19. This is the 2K League Finals, Sixers versus T-Wolves. You'll actually see a familiar name here. We got Bear the Beast. He's been doing this for a long time, man, in this 2K League stuff. Shout out to him, but he was at the point guard position here. Now, you can see their shooting guard is technically a pure lockdown defender, but that's not technically who's playing the hash. Right here you can see it's this J Money dude, and he's on a sharp shot creator that has like decent defense, but it's not anything super crazy. Here's the problem though. This year's builder is a lot different than 2K19. So once again, you can see the same thing, shot creating sharpshooter type build, where once again, they're both primary sharp, secondary shot. It's meant to be a secondary ball handler that still plays solid defense, and it's gonna like get away with playing shooting guard defense. The twos pretty much guard each other, and it does become a problem at that point because both builds' offense is slightly better than their defense. Also, a lot of big names on this Sixers team. It's like a ton of people I can recall from all the way back to then. But again, they were playing more like a small forward position, but we're still playing like the hash, guarding each other as well. And then you have this dynamic when it comes to the matchup. So as you're gonna see, the point guard will go by numbers, right? Because it's a little bit easier to identify. So the 1 guards the 3, and the 3 guards the 1. You have the lock on the PG, and the PG on the lock. That's as simple as that goes. Then you have an interchange right here as well, where the 4 guards the 5, and the 5 guards the 4. So it's really this dynamic where both those two little position combos interchange with each other, but then you have the 2 guarding the 2. These guys are literally near each other at all times of the game. That's how it's always been in 2K. But I'm here to talk about how in this year's game, I think this shooting guard dynamic is in for a real change. So we got my boy Dooms with a build right here. Unfortunately, nobody made anything that even resembles close to a shooting guard in this year's game, except for debatably this. But we're here to talk about how this is a problem too. So, and shout out to Dooms once again. I didn't really ask for permission for this video like Joe did for his, but I just wanted to shout him out and definitely go check his channel out. He's a smaller creator. I've subscribed to him now too, and I gotta say he's a really cool dude as well. So give him a look. Absolutely check him out after this video 100%. But wanted to talk about the build. So as you can see, 99 3-point hash. I actually tweeted this and I asked what the heck are shooting guards doing in Pro-Am this year, because I am lost when I'm looking at this builder as well. And you're gonna see a lot of people actually agree with me right here, and this one in most particularly. I will actually say not a lot of people are saying the same thing I thought except for this tweet, but he says you're either running 2 guards or 2 locks. Secondary ball handlers are officially done. I feel the same way. I feel as if to be kind of like a hybrid halfway between a lock and halfway between a ball handler. Like a lot of what you saw in that build, or not the builds, but a lot of what you saw with the league builds in that 2K League clip that you saw right there, not to mention what people used to do in 2K19, etc., etc. I'm a little bit worried that that is not a thing anymore. I don't know what the deal is going to be with shooting guards this year. So my thought is exactly what problematic here is, where you're either running 2 guards or 2 locks. If you have 2 point guards, that means your defense is going to suffer. If you're running against another team that runs 2 point guards, you might have to hide both PGs in the corner and run a defense completely oriented based on playing your back end defender more of like a back and in a drop where he's able to help on cuts for both those guards. And you're not going to get much help for your defenders or anything like that. But then you have another conversation where maybe it's the 2 locks idea, where one is a hash lock that really doesn't have anything on his build besides 3-pointer and defense. Because if we come back over to the builder real quick, as you can see, this is very restrictive. I mean, look at like how seriously you have to go invested into like nothing in your finishing or shooting just to have like, you know, goldish playmaking badges when it comes to the movement and stuff like that, even like silver hyperdrive and other just, you know, mediocre ball handling stuff. Because I do expect shooting guards to go something like this, to be honest with you. But then becomes another problem. If you go to this level, you're missing out on the speed booster on Hall of Fame, obviously, but even more importantly, the speculation is that MJ dribble style is going to be at 89 or 90 speed with ball. That's what we've been hearing for the most part. It's not factual yet, and also to be fair, it's totally possible that there are better, not better, but there are decent dribble styles somewhere in the 80 range and stuff like that too. So it's possible this build could be a really good 2 guard. But the problem becomes, as you can see, the whole defensive talk. So the other end of the spectrum would be a 2-way sharp, where maybe you potentially go ahead and make something that still gets a really high 3-pointer and gets really good prim D and steal, but you literally can't put the ball on the floor. at all. And boy, does that create some problems for double press, where teams are gonna, put 2 guys in the full court press on your point guard, force you to pass it up to either the inbounder or the 2 guard who's, having to function like a press break. And at that point, you have a real problem. Now, you're probably asking, well, Laker, why can't they just make a balanced build? Why can't they just make something that has, even still, maybe no finishing? Because, boy, is it looking hard to make a balanced build in this game. But, yeah, like maybe something that has no finishing, even still, but maybe it has, like, gold or silver limitless, something like that. And then still gets like, 70-ish Prim D, 70-ish steel. Well, let's go ahead and show you why. So right here, we have the requirements. You are absolutely, if you're a shooting guard that's trying to handle the ball, going to need something in the gold range, most likely. Now, to be fair, it's possible that some people do come out here with really bad defensive 2s, and maybe you can function as a silver when it comes to speed booster and stuff like that. Or, once again, even silver on unpluckable maybe. But I just don't believe you're going to be able to move quick enough to actually manipulate pick and roll in that type of a style. So, this is the problem that you face now. If you want to go with the gold level playmaking, like the 92 ball handle, which actually is a very good threshold, as you're going to see, it's going to be just enough for speed booster. You'll still be able to get probably the same excel and speed with ball that you need for that too. You'll be able to get gold unpluckable and all that. And, it sounds perfect for playmaking, right? Like, you'll still have the silver killer combos, maybe you tick 1 up to get gold. You got hyperdrive on silver, most likely. Not likely that you're going to get gold, but it's possible. Handles for days, you actually have just enough. Once again, 91 ball handle will be gold, and you'll be able to get that. And, all this like stuff sounds really good, fine and dandy, right? But then we come to the defensive talk. So, with defense, as you can see, anything that is going to be a decent badge, like I'm talking anything that's more than bronze, you have to go into the 80s for. And man, is that going to be so hard to do in this builder. If you're trying to be someone that's still going to have that gold playmaking, you're still going to have silver limitless at least. You're not going to have any finishing on your shooting guard and comp prime this year. I can promise you that already. Like, that's factual for sure. Maybe you get enough standing dunk for like a backdoor cut and you got the standing dunk package or something like that with like 50. And maybe you get a dunk package in general with like 40 or 50 as well. But I mean, long story short, your finishing is going to be very, very bad. And yeah, I mean, if you come out here and expect that you're going to have a moderately decent defender, you're in for a tough time. Because as you can see, like right stick ripper, it's going to be 84 steal rating to even get that on silver. That is tough, 100%. 94 feet, it's debatable. This actually is like somewhat achievable for a silver level with 81. But even still, the Prim D and steel both being that high sounds kind of ridiculous. I don't really see a world where people completely just knock off one of the 2 of them, as in they just go with a 25 steal rating at the hash, or they go with a 25 Prim D at the hash either, or really probably more like 50 because it's going to force you up. But to get back into the whole budgeting talk right here, we got Interceptor on silver being 81 steel. So it's very likely that if they even try to be a mediocre defensive build, it's going to be something like this: 60 steel for Interceptor. They're not even going to have glove. It's going to be terrible for things like pick dodge. You probably won't even have it for that matter. I mean, it's looking rough out here, guys, if you're expecting that you're going to be playing the same Pro-Am that you've played for 3 years in a row, because that's not the case. And a lot of people are new to this Pro-Am stuff. Like, I've seen, there's a lot of young dudes in this community that this is maybe their year to get drafted and stuff like that too. They've been playing on the system for 3 years in a row now, and that's their peak. That's where they've been good. They've been that secondary ball handler, shooting guard that is pretty much a de facto point guard and can still guard the hash too. But I'm a little bit interested to see how this is going to go this year, because I don't know, man. It's not the same by any means. For the last 3 years we've seen it, and we're in for a completely crazy switch up, 100%. Even things like fast feet, like once again, you're probably looking at bronze in any realistic way of actually even getting something like this. It's going to be so hard to balance that Prim D, that steal, the speed, excel, the stamina, the three-pointer, the ball handle, even the pass act. The passing is going to be terrible from 2 guards, most likely too. Your finishing is going to be horrible. We've already mentioned that too. And not to mention, you want clamps? Well, you got to upgrade strength. I mean, it's in a very mediocre level, like 50 and 55 isn't that crazy or anything like that, but you still got to do it. I mean, it's going to be tough, man. I expect that if anybody even tries to come out here and play defense, they're gonna be rocking a lot of bronze badges on D, like the bronze challenger. You probably maybe won't even be able to get bronze clamps, but if so, that's about as far as it's gonna cap out at, because it won't go any higher than that. Fast feet, definitely gonna cap out at bronze, and pick dodger, definitely capping out at bronze too. Glove, it might not even invest into steel high enough for that. It might just literally be 60 steel and that's it. So you're looking at a world where it's probably like 60 steel and like 70 something Prim D. I don't know, man. I don't know. To me, I feel like the best way to go about this is exactly what we were just talking about over here. where you're either running 2 guards or 2 locks. I totally agree with this. I feel like it needs to be more of an extremist way of looking at the builder, to be honest with you. I feel like the vision I have for both of those is maybe, let's say in my own world, right, where I am a 6'8", 6'9" Ben Simmons pick and roller type build. I know it's not going to function like that for everybody, but for me personally, that's what I'm looking at. I would in that world see me as the press break guy, where I have a little bit more ball handle speed and stuff like that on the pick and roller, because I'm already investing into speed and finishing, etc., stuff like that, and it's an inside, so I don't have to worry about like the shooting. So I'm picturing a world where I would work as the press break and our 2 guard is already up the court sitting at hash, pretty much. So that's the world where we have a lock at our 2 guard, and then that build is more of a small wingspan. Let me see if I can find a really good example here. I think 2K Labs and Spillboy posted something like that. All right, so 2K Labs showed that 6'5" is the tallest build for 99 3-pointer this year. Example build right here. So like as you can see, we have 92 prim on this, not much steal. It would probably go to 60 if you wanted something like that. But again, the speed excel, not looking good. It's not even a complete build, and 99 3-pointer is just not going to happen. So you're probably looking at, even for a 2-way sharp, no shot you're going to have 99 3. I think it's more along the lines of like gold or silver limitless even still, and then you're investing into defense pretty well. But again, like a secondary ball handler kind of idea, it just doesn't seem like it's going to function very well. And to be fair, this is not a complete build by any means. I'm just using this as an example of showing you what a high 3-pointer and high prim D together looks like without even having any investment into finishing, and still barely having anything on playmaking either. And it's not even done with the physicals. So just know, man, this is what you're looking at for 2 guards this year. It's looking rough. Like really, really rough. And obviously you wouldn't go 6'5" either. It'd probably be more like 6'4" if you're trying to make something like this, because you could get the guard animations and stuff like that. But I mean, just wanted to give you an example, pretty much. So let's go ahead and see some examples here, and just of what the community's thinking. And to be fair, not all of this is comp pro-am talk. Not all of this is like, you know, the people that opinions like truly matter for this playstyle. And I know I'm talking to a niche community right now, but I figured you guys would be kind of interested in this. The comp pro-am is really taken off from where it was back in the day. I will say though, yo, this actually I don't even have it up anymore, but that 2K League Finals 2K19, bro, the 2K League was such an immaculate vibe back then. The 18-19 era of the 2K League was so fire. I hope they can get back to that somehow. But anyway, let's just go through some opinions right here. So we have the quotes. 2K19 vibes, sharpshooting shot creator. You know what? I mean, as you guys saw, and shout out to him for even knowing that, for that matter too. Obviously, we just saw 2 of them, you know, and it had mediocre defense. So is that what we're talking? The bronze defensive badges with like a 6'4" that has mediocre offense everywhere as well? It's possible. Whatever they want to, not like they got a lock on them. So that's possible, but also it is a possibility that you are someone that maybe runs the double ball handler one, where your defense is garbage, aka like the bronze defense that we were just talking about, right? The sharpshooting shot creator idea. But then the other team maybe has a 2-way sharp that doesn't handle the ball at all. And then you're coming out here and you're trying to dribble the ball with like silver like playmaking stuff, but that 2-way sharp hash lock has gold defensive badges and he's ripping you left and right. He's way too fast for you. He's got like gold on fast feet, all types of stuff like that. And all of a sudden you as a secondary ball handler are kind of useless, and now you're just playing hash because you can't go at either of those locks. Don't even get me started on if you get a switch and you're trying to go at that pure lock, because that's not happening with a mediocre ball handle. This game already looks kind of tough to dribble in the first place, or create offense, I should say, in the first place. But anyway, Deshaun here says everybody finna run a double power forward. I was actually thinking about this. My idea for a pro-am lineup actually would have been for me and Tonic to come out here with double bigs, pretty much, and then have one guy play back end. Technically, it's going to be kind of complicated. I don't want to talk about it too much, but the double bigs idea is definitely pretty valid in my opinion. And you have one of your guards play like hash D, deal with him being a bad matchup for whatever the other team's 2 guard is, and you just deal with that, right? But then you got the double bigs to play double corners. And you know what? We're getting into this a little bit deep, so let me just go like more into detail so I don't sound so dumb. All right, so guarding ball would be the pure lock, pretty much, right? And then guarding the hash would, in some situations, be your 2 guard, who actually is a 2-way sharp, and he's more fully invested into, like, you know, the 3-and-D style, right? Then, in both your corners would be 1 big and 1 guard, and then your back end is still a big as well. Or, if you go into a situation where maybe you can get away with your point guard guarding the hash, then you'd be looking at a situation where if your lock is like kind of hybrid enough, like a 6'8", 6'9" type, you could have him play back end, you could shift your 2 guard over to guarding ball, and then you could play double bigs in the corner and drop from both sides, rotate both sides. You got crazy rebounding, crazy interior defensive ability, and you would hide your PG that with like very minimal defense on the hash, and he would just follow that 2-guard everywhere. Now, to be fair, if you can't contest a shot with that though, then we're talking about different situation. But yeah, everybody's thinking like Klay Thompson, kind of 2-way-ish, where you're not really doing much secondary ball handler. This guy said, this is what I'm trying to figure out: secondary ball handler or hash lock. Doesn't look like both will be possible. I definitely agree. Meta probably going to be sharp lock, so there's not 2 defensive liabilities on the court. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's looking tough. It's so split in the community's way of thinking and seeing this stuff. But anyway, that is going to be all for the video. I just wanted to show you guys like pretty much what the build was looking like, as far as, you know, something that resembled a shooting guard at least. And when I saw this, I'm definitely thinking that. I'm like, oh my god, these twos are going to have a hard time in this year's game, trying to figure out what they want to make from the beginning as a community, even deciding on that, because we all know how Pro-Am and stuff like that works. Everybody just sits here and, you know, kind of does the exact same stuff as each other and just runs one meta thing. I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. I don't think there is going to be a commonly agreed upon way of doing things. And the 2K League itself doesn't like that. They like when it's all the same people running the same stuff and the skill is the determining factor in it. I don't like that personally. I like when creativity meets skill. Personally, I think it makes it really fun to watch. I think as a consumer, that's the most fun thing too. And you can sit here and look at the pregame intros and you'll be like, oh my god. Like for me, the Heat back in the day had Hot Shot. He's a post scorer and he was their power forward. So they had their center guard PNR, and he was like an offensive forward that was completely different than everybody else in the 2K League in that year. It's something that it stands out to me. I remember it. I enjoyed watching it, and it's what stuck out to me as a viewer and consumer of that content. And I think they really would be smart to embrace that, in my opinion, to have more diversity into their community and, you know, just into their game to make it more enjoyable to watch. But we'll see. I don't know. Pro-Am community and 2K League community is all kind of the same stuff every year. They always just do it the exact same way as each other, and if you do anything different, you're lame and weird and, you know, need to get the heck out of here. So anyway, that's all for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, for drop a like, sub, if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff. And like always, try to 1,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put 2 or put SG in the comments for sports my way through. I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to develop. I will keep you guys updated throughout the year and let you know what it's looking like, or if I get my hands on the builder and actually can create a 2-guard build, because nobody in this whole community day probably cared about looking at shooting guard builds for Pro-Am. Like, nobody there cared about that enough, obviously. So anyway, shout out to Dooms once again though. This is a fire build. I think it's actually gonna be really good. I even want to maybe debatably try and ask AK to make this build if the dribble style is gonna be good enough, because I think for a primary ball handler, I mean, good pass act, good ball handle, it's enough for the, you know, gold and stuff like that on all the levels. It demands a lot of attention in the pick and roll game with the 3-pointer, and even still has a great mid-range for the midi crabs and stuff like that too. And obviously, yes, no dunk, but the layups wide open, it'll do. And obviously midi is what you're looking for more if you can beat your primary defender, because the big's going to be able to sit down there. Rotates will happen anyway. They can't do much about a midi crab, bro. I'm just going to be real with you guys. It's not a thing. So anyway, good height too, 6'3", 6'4" wingspan, etc., etc. So shout out to Dooms. Really good build. Definitely check out his video 100%. But other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed. And take it easy, man. Peace.